The Road Not Taken by Robert Frost. I want you to pause this video now and spend 3 to 5 minutes annotating any of the notes you know from memory, then opening your own notes and adding what you can to this piece. I want you to focus now on the title. It is called The Road Not Taken. Remember that Frost will not be talking about his journey or anywhere he has been, but wondering where he has not been. That's the emphasis of this poem. The road here is a metaphor for a journey, life, path, or a choice that he had to make. And he will be seeing which choices, which paths, which journeys, and what kind of life he did not live. Let's look at the poem's structure. We have an A and B rhyming scheme that is consistent throughout these 4 stanzas. Each stanza is 5 lines in length. By adhering to a strict system of rhyming and each line roughly being of the same length, we can state that it is a highly structured poem. Analysing stanza 1, we can see firstly that it is a yellow wood. This is obvious colour symbolism used by Frost. From what I can tell, it can mean one of 3 things. Generally speaking, yellow tends to mean cowardice, youth perhaps, and even caution as well. In a more practical sense, it could be that he is either at a sunrise or a sunset and that the yellow sun is beaming onto the actual forest. This could be symbolic of a new beginning or perhaps an end of an old path. The most likely interpretation is that these are in fact autumn leaves and the leaves are changing colour. Now, autumn could relate to a time in one's life or change itself. Autumn often represents the latter years of one's life, or it could also be a change of season, that old leaves die and new leaves grow, so a change in path. Frost feels sorry that he can't make both choices. He wants both, or everything in life. This is an idealistic view of the world that we all often have, that we want everything possible when that is not possible. He has a vague sense of indecision as he long stood there thinking, and he looked as far as one could. Like all Frost's poetry, he uses natural imagery to convey a certain meaning. In this case, he says the undergrowth, the tangling, the roots, the leaves, everything blocks his view from looking down a certain path. And this undergrowth epitomizes the chaos of reality and life. Moving on to the next stanza, Frost expertly uses enjambment here by connecting the previous line to the next with one sentence. This enjambment represents the sudden choice made and dramatizes it to show that it was a quick thinking moment. In the next stanza, I'm going to focus solely on a lexical or semantic field within this stanza, using terms such as just as fair, having perhaps, because, though, really about the same, equally. Frost is creating a certain lexical or semantic field of indecision. He's creating a web or a pattern of words that show this sense of uncertainty that he feels. In doing so, he's made a feeble attempt to justify his choice or his path. The question I want to ask, though, is this a feeble attempt to convince us, the readers, or is he just trying to convince himself that this is the correct choice to make? In the next stanza, Frost addresses a question that we all bring to ourselves and a lie that we all make to ourselves. We, like Frost here, deny that our choices are permanent and finite, and we always think that perhaps one day we can go back on our choices. But knowing how one way leads to another, through this entanglement of the undergrowth and chaos of life, we doubt we can ever come back. The fact that he said he doubted if he should ever come back, he's even doubting his lack of action on something, therefore conveying a complete lack of confidence in one's choices. He would be telling this with a sigh, once again showing his theme of regret and the idea that he cannot choose both. But there's a silver lining to this, because he says, I shall be telling this, not that I am telling this with a sigh. It's the future tense. Therefore, he is only currently making an assumption that he will be in sorrow. So perhaps this is just a fleeting moment of pessimism he feels, and that perhaps actually he's made the correct choice. Again, a quintessential Frost style to reiterate a line with new meaning. 2 roads diverged in a wood. And this begs the most important question. He took the one less travelled by. Therefore, is he adventurous or foolish for doing so? Is he brave or is he ignorant of advice from others? He states that by taking the less travelled route, it has made all the difference. It has been a life-changing choice. But this is an open-ended interpretation. Is it really that bad of a thing? Perhaps it was all the difference that created a positive impact on his life. Or if you want to take the pessimistic approach, that maybe it ruined his life. We don't actually know, and I think that choice is our own as the reader. So to summarize here, we need to talk about the messages of this poem in these last couple of lines. What is Frost trying to tell us? He's perhaps trying to tell us about the limitations of mortality. We only live for so long in this life, and we can't make all the choices we want. We can't be everything. Therefore, we must choose something. But I think there's something more important here. It's the power of choice and the responsibility of freedom. Even though Frost has been pessimistic here about his choice, he is emphasizing the fact that he had free will to make that choice. So that cost of freedom is that you must choose. And there will always be some form of regret there, but at least at the very beginning, he was given a choice. It's a little bit like growing up and into adulthood. From a child, you have very few choices in life and therefore not much free will. You don't regret any of the roads that you take. But once you gain more freedom, that liberty comes at a price of the fact that you must make choices. And those choices are never easy, no matter what the road is.